Firstly, thank you for having me on your show. And we, as an NLC, are very excited about the 20 years that we've been giving back to communities. And of course, I'll be more than happy to touch on the processes so that everybody that is trusting us with uplifting communities are informed. If I may start with that, as per your request, the NLC is basically a public entity which is mandated with regulation, first and foremost. So therefore, the funding comes from our role as a regulator, where it was so fought by the government that we have a way of raising funds that will assist communities, and therefore when you play the lottery, there is a portion of those funds that in terms of our legislation designated for good cause, and that would be done then through an entity, or rather a fund that is established in terms of our act, and that fund is called the National Lotteries Distribution Trust Fund. And that fund is basically administered by our board to ensure that all the monies that are sitting there are used for good causes. And how our people can access the money is basically through an application process. And I'm very excited to share with you today that, you know, historically there would have been our processes would have been seen as quite stringent, and would have benefited probably a few in the country, and therefore the organization went through a process of reviewing the act to ensure that monies are indeed easily accessible to the communities, and therefore there are different grants, as you alluded to earlier on, that can be accessed by all, you know. So therefore, if there is an organization that requires certain monies to assist their communities, whether it be in the different sectors that we fund, which the charities sector, which is the biggest sector, by the way. 47% of our funds go to that pot, and followed by sports. 28% of our funds go into that pot, and followed by arts. And there's a small percentage, which is 2%, that is designated for any other good causes. And therefore, with the process, if I may, the DTI, which is our shareholder, is the one that therefore appoints a separate agency within the commission, who are solely responsible for adjudicating the applications. Our applications are on the website, and there are different sizes of grants that can be accessible. And there is a small grant, I think, as I was talking to the changes earlier on, that allows for ordinary people to access the funds, which is anything between 0 to 500,000. And for that, we basically need a proof of registration as an NPO or an NGO, as well as a business plan. And but what's critical is that previously we would have requested that we have audited financial statements, for instance. But what it is that with these small grants, which is anything between 0 to 500,000, you're only required to prove that you have a bank account.